Hi all, welcome to my Soraredata Challenger Europe predictions. Thought I'd be kind of covering this. I should have done this really at the start of the month, but we've been kind of getting through this in the last couple of weeks, having a bit of fun. Time beat us for basically everything, so as you can see, like Champion Europe, Champion America, Second Division and Asia. There was obviously a lot to kind of comprehend in like a game week, and like what you ideally be is always ahead, like at least like near enough a game week ahead, but then working backwards, knowing what you've got and what you've not got. So as you can see, we've got a lot of greens here. 107 for Croatia. Rudez was the one game that left. And what I found funny was a lot of these games, like it says 29 out of 30 for Lokomotiv Zagreb. What I did for like Croatia, Austria, pretty much every league apart from Turkey, which we'll get into in a minute, as you can see by the predictions, is we actually went and done the non-minted players as well, just to cover our back. So I'm quite surprised it still says 29 out of 30 or 27 out of 30 is what it is. But Varzadin and Rudez scored not as great, but like Gorica being the best team out of the bunch to take, so we can't fault that. Austria, Klagenfurt 16.4 out of 16.3, can't fault that. 16.2 for out of 16.65 for Altak, 15.8 for Blue White Vince. Pity about Lask, pity about Lustenau, and a pity about Wolfsberger, and even Austria Vienna for that matter. I think Vienna had a bit of rotation which was not expected, but Tyrol balanced out nicely along with Rapid Vienna, so I can't fault that in the slightest. But no, it's good to see you, and as you see on the screen as well, it says you're good 1 times tier 4. We'll get into where that is in a minute. Norway, Elsland, only one that got a minus, which is a bummer, but pretty much spot on for everything bar Rosenborg and Molden Haugesund, really. So Rosenborg is obviously hard enough in its own right, because obviously it's a full squad that you're working with, but at least we're still scoring quite well with what we got. It's Rosenborg is what makes or breaks where you finish in the month. Eredivisie, Utrecht was a disaster. AZ finished above the bonus, so we're delighted there. Nearly top marks for Go Ahead and Feyenoord. And where is it? Excelsior could have scored a wee bit better, but not to be. But steady across the board, but nothing where we could have been like breaking through, as it were. Like a little bit more would have been nice in that respect. The Pro League for Belgium, Antwerp, as I said, I don't know what happened there, like 26 out of 27, it should be 27 out of 27. Club Brugge stand out, but Genk and Standard Liège a bit of a letdown there. Could kind of say Antwerp and Kortrijk and Westerlo, same applies, but obviously trying to get top marks is hard enough as it is, but gave it a good bash. Scottish Prem, we scored spot on for St Mirren. Rangers was a disaster, did not expect a 1.6 result. Mind there is only 13 players that you're working with. Hibs was 10.5, a lot of that was down to Jair starting, being on the bench, and Rocky overhandling, but it is what it is. Celtic 15.3 on that, couldn't fault that at all. But yeah, Rangers kind of hampered that, especially for like the overall month. Portugal was a funny one, like Portimonense and Rio Ave, like 1 and 2 players respectively, and not on mark there. Porto was a disaster. Ferenc not so great. Benfica not so great. Guimarães not so great. But like baffling how Portuguese league was a bit of a disaster. Boa Vista and Chaves, Nil Pla across the board there, and really goes against us for like the month if we need to rely on one of these leagues to bag a reward. Russian League, Sochi, Rostov and Fakel were the ones that let us down. But we were generally quite steady. Nothing like Dynamo Moscow and Baltica were probably the two closest you could say for bagging bonus, but solid but steady. Turkish League, bit of a disaster. We were trying to do these predictions, and some teams were happening, some teams weren't, and I don't know what was going on. And then we were trying to do the players that weren't minted because we were trying to do the same approach, and then I don't know what happened whatsoever. So it ended up we're missing players and getting players, and then other players were somehow showing up, and by the time deadline came about with like Karagumruk, Sivas War Games was completely missed. So we were not necessarily trying to rush, but at the same time we were trying to get everything kind of on point. And like we'd scored okay, but we could have scored a lot better. Like I love how it says we got 24 out of 25 for Galatasaray, but scored 15.75. Imagine we'd all 25 and we could have maybe been close to perfection. But just the way it goes. Who knows what we'd have scored extra. It might have made no difference, or it might have made some difference. It's the one league, funnily enough, we've marked up I think twice now, and it's like our worst performing league for the month. And then Superliga, top marks for Silkeborg, Brøndby and Hidevor, but Nordjylland we got bonus, so we got 1.1 extra there. Midtjylland sadly not as high as we would have hoped. Copenhagen 5 out of 6.4, so not too shabby on that front. I'll quickly touch 408, what we're going to have to try and focus on. We'll have it on a stream, so it'll be like tonight's stream, and depending on how quick I get through, I might review it all for tomorrow. So Champions League games, basically everyone accounts for a Challenger Europe. We're not fussed about Champion Europe teams at all. So it's like Young Boys, Antwerp, Feyenoord, Celtic, Red Star Belgrade, or Crvena Zvezda, Shakhtar Donetsk, Porto, Galatasaray, Copenhagen, Arsenal, PSV, Benfica Salzburg and Sporting Braga. As I say, we're not fussed about Champion Europe teams. Conference League, same applies, quite a lot there. Only a couple, which is Fiorentina and Aston Villa. It'll be fun with the smaller teams, especially like your Aris and Baka Topola. It's going to be a bit of homework, but yeah, should be a right good chance, and it'll also make or break a lot of people for the month that are still giving it a good go. So for the month, for the leaderboard, once we get into it, if it loads, we currently sit 62nd for Challenger Europe. We have 37th for Eredivisie, 42nd Jupiler Pro League, 70th for Turkey, which is our own fault, 8th for Austrian Bundesliga, 52nd in the Croatian League, 23rd Scottish Premiership, 48th in Russia, 19th in Portugal, 62nd in Danish, 35th in the LHCR in the Norwegian League, and 30th in the Swiss League. So just to put it in perspective, we have 287.1, JKKK is tier 1 with 299. Like, we're not out the realms of second, if I'm honest, but like for this, I'm not sure how this. I'll have to actually double check what falls under for Challenger Europe with all this. If it's each individual team and it's each individual league, then it gets interesting, because then it's who's getting their homework not just done right, but it could make or break us going from, say, second to out of the rewards for here. Eredivisie, I don't think it's too low. Nah, we're not necessarily miles away. Like, we're like 12 points, but it's a bit of work there. Scottish Premiership, we sit 23rd. We're just in the reward tier if we were to fall into it, which would be a tier 5. Quite a few others. Like, I love how JKK is like first tier as well. It's like, you see yourself, how? But yeah, we've got quite a bit of work to do to kind of like we've got enough chances to get up the league. Like, as I say, this is where Rangers game ruined us, because if we'd performed better for Rangers, we could have been in like tier 3 for here, and that would have been a lot better than the tier 4 in Austria at the moment. And in Norway, before we jump to Norway, Portugal, we sit 19th, we're just outside the rewards here. I love how JKK like is top everywhere. Like, it's like, if we were to look, where is JKK's not top 5th there, Belgium 2nd, Turkey 9th, Austria we know he's top, they're top, Croatia they sit 4th, Prem is top, Russia is 7th, top in Portugal, 6th in Denmark, 6th in Norway, and Swiss, they're underperforming. One league's letting them down. One league is letting them down. Interesting. Like, really letting them down by the looks of it. There they are, 78th, and we're 30th. So for Norway, as I said, we're 35th. What's funny about this is, like, even though we've got 47 points, the amount of people that have rewards, if we go down to 43rd for anything to happen, like, which is quite startling. So it just kind of shows what we've got to achieve to make the month overall. But overall, JKK gets the star reward. What's so annoying is we could be, for the month, if we'd got Turkey done, like, realistically, if you go back that game week, go back 407, I'll even, because International Cup we marked up, how much realistically? 20, 34, 40, about 48 points. We've not missed anything else, haven't we? Because it's International Cup, we mucked up a little bit there. Yeah, it was the Euros in 405 and they weren't working. That was annoying. And then 404 was the same problem. It was like they added a whole pile of players that we were like, yeah, we've done all of them. 403, yeah, it was Eredivisie was a game week of a whole pile of players just suddenly added. Yeah, Turkey, we've had the same problem twice now. That was time that was because we met, like, quite a few of these games we had everyone, and then it was like it just kept adding more players, and like, what's going on here? And it was a kind of a theme that we've had, and what we've ended up doing is trying to make sure that we're adding everyone in. Yeah, so if we'd got everything for the month, we would be a lot closer, but not maybe like, who knows, we could have been maybe up in this pile, and it would be a rare, but live and learn. And as I say, we're trying to make sure that we get every player accounted for. Let's say if we end up with a monthly reward, that's great. Obviously, in an ideal world, we'd like to have said, well, we're 19th, we're 23rd tier, we'd like a tier 5 on top. If we snuck in there and got a tier 5, you'd like that. And then for here, you'd say, well, give us a tier 5, but technically we can't do that because obviously everyone else is getting something, so that's why it goes the way it goes. But we will see what happens and take it from there. But let me know, folks, if you've been doing this. As I said, we'd like to add hopefully some wins to this in due course. So have a good one, folks. Let me know how your Soraredata predictions are going. Have a good one, folks, and I will catch you all later.